My name is Nadia, and these are my fellow Scrum Masters, Alona, Dorota, and Ksenia. We are from Scale Point, where all Scrum Masters happen to be female. We didn't do it on purpose. And today we are here to talk to you about evolution. Probably a coincidence. This was almost 10 years ago. A former colleague came by our office and he was this amazed by our Scrum board. We used this in our job ads. We took pride in doing Scrum by the book, or really to the point, not just the board. Today, it's much later, and we are going to share with you some ideas that we learned over the years and what we evolved into, what we could now call Beyond Scrum.
Oh, it works. Hi. Should be a familiar picture, but just in case. Originally, by the end of each iteration, a Scrum team is supposed to produce a potentially shippable product, which is later released. We started with just that. Plan, implement, deliver at the end of the sprint. Only soon we found out that we are not delivering fast enough. There was kind of a hint when some features started to be pushed into production as incidents. So what we did, we introduced so-called quick releases. Something that our dearest product owners wanted to see ASAP, not waiting for the sprint to end, while the rest went to the major releases at the end of each iteration. Nowadays, quick releases became the new normal, so we are releasing and deploying our big modules every Wednesday and smaller modules every day. So for us, the previous picture kind of looks like this, or even this. With that, why wait for product owner to request some feature if it's ready? So what we did was unlink deploys and releases. Now the team decides when the feature is ready and puts into production with toggle off. This gives the product owner enough time to play with it and switch it on production when they're ready. Thus, it is no longer necessary to accept each feature by the product owner. The team just does it for themselves. What's next? We started with more or less fixed scope and sprint goals. But with frequent releases, it's no longer that much important what is completed in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So the sprint just provides us a comfortable frame and yeah, kind of. Oh my God, I forgot. Sorry, nervous. The frame and pace of work. Thank you, thank you. Okay. For us, planning is understanding what comes next. Quite often, we would adjust the scope of our sprint to suit better our ongoing higher initiatives or to make sure we're aligned for the common release. Yep, while you're reading the text. It is a little bit more complicated than that, but in any case, over the years, we have accumulated some data and gain some skill in forecasting the potential so-called guesstimate for the initiatives. So we're using our own system of buffers depending on the stage of the idea to provide business just enough data to weigh the initiatives against each other among, on the terms of scope, potential guesstimate, estimate, value, and cost. And the lucky ones end up in portfolio. When in portfolio, we are working very close with business in terms of reviewing and checking how we're doing on plan versus reality scale, and providing as much transparency for them to adjust if needed.
It works, I think. Well, there's this an assumption that Scrum team is supposed to be collocated in order to be efficient. Well, we are distributed among 3 countries. So our product owners and wizards, you're going to hear it later, are in Denmark. Then most of the IT department is in Ukraine and Poland. We discovered over the years that not focusing on one location when we actually sit, we can find more talents anywhere we want. Some of our people are working from home every day. And if we are missing somebody from the team, we can make his appearance in the office. We meet on daily, every day, online, always with the cameras on. sometimes we are connecting a little bit earlier just to talk, have some laugh together. But in order to make it all work, we are traveling across locations to have some face-to-face time. Drink beer, just to hang together, spend some time. And sometimes these evenings are ending to fixing production in the middle of the night. But well, great company rewards it all. And we have tools. Since we can't meet together on a daily basis, we are going into the online tools. Back in the days, we were using sticky notes like everybody else, but then we have to just switch. You can see here some of them that they are like well known, but we are using more other ones, online tools that we are reaching them for them every day. There's some estimating tools that you can use for groomings, for refinements. There's some virtual boards that you're using for retros and other ones. And there's some other ones for voting, like Mentimeter that we were using before. And if you're introducing the new tool for your team, you can find out that they don't like it very quick, even if nobody say anything. And there is a brag wall. There's a closed Facebook group that connects people across locations, not only developers, but also product owners. We have their place to just share all our moments that we are proud of, everything that they like, our hobbies, everything. And it's called brag wall for a reason. All the big achievements goes there, like successful launches of our project with our customers.
And speaking about our customers and how to make them happy, not only we want to satisfy them with the cakes, we know that our customers also like transparency, especially when the development is done from both sides. So, how to achieve this transparency? It's either frequent coordination or daily communication. So, we started with a co-creation project with one of our customers. We met in one place for a kick-off meeting, and we decided such rules for our cooperation. We've set the dedicated teams, shared sprint goal, and shared meetings like planning, daily, demo, and retro. We've selected the tools that we want to cooperate through, and we started our cooperation. So far, on each retro, we hear the feedback that all goes well. So let's see how our experiment will go. Another experiment that was introduced by our CIO 4 years ago was the experiment from no to why. It was meant to bring the peace between business and development. So, you know how it works. When the product owner comes to you with a very strange requirement that is not easy to satisfy, and how developers try hard to explain why it's impossible to do and they will not do it. So our CIO brought us to the golden circle model, and he introduced such rules. We were not allowed to say no, and we instead needed to say why do you need this, and how we will build that. So over time, all these all no's evolved to constructive discussions, and it worked great. Otherwise, expanding wouldn't be possible.
A few years ago, we had three independent teams working on each of their own product. In the era of microservices, we expanded to to a model that is somewhat inspired by Spotify. Commercially, we have two products now, but under the hood, they contain multiple shared services, and each team owns one or more such modules. And as if that wasn't enough, we scaled even further by handling the situation when we have customer delivery to handle, and we don't want to stop working on our strategic product roadmap. We call it project teams. So when we have a new need, we start a new team, and we created a special team called Party that guides the effort of these extra teams, and currently running 4 of them. So with multiple teams, how do we make it in a way that we avoid a gazillion of different technologies and yet avoid the situation with bureaucracy where every decision has to be aligned across multiple teams? We use technology radar to guide as a boundary for autonomy. So as long as the team is picking something within the radar, they're okay. And new technologies are being tried that way. When proven useful in one of the teams, then it goes closer to the center of the radar. We also defined 10 development principles. So that is how the teams can make their own decisions. As long as they want to go outside the boundary, they have to talk. And one of the crucial ones is called you build it, you run it, which means that in the old days, it was the job of IT operations to deploy new stuff to production. However, with more frequent releases and with multiple modules, we couldn't afford to do it any longer. So we automated the deploy and moved the responsibility to developers. The not so secret ingredient to make it all work is fun. It was always part of our DNA, but with multiple teams, it's even more important than ever. Humor helps us solve multiple complex problems across locations, and it showed up in our deploy notifications or as a storm of GIFs in our teams. We own probably the least common position titles, including but not limited to wizards, preachers, matchmaker. And while there is never a dull moment on the team daily, some days are just more special. That's all we had time for today. Thank you. Find your unicorns.